Hey, welcome back to the Metropol Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is April 21st. We have another GNK. I think we have 13 players tonight, or 11 maybe. Looks like 11. We're playing a GNK. It is 3 rounds. We got 2 decks for you. First round against Marc-Andre. Hey, thanks, you too. Playing Gabe. I've actually seen Marc-Andre play this deck before, if I know what it is. It's an aggressive Gabe with sec testing and then some directives, if I'm not mistaken, find the truth. So anything that can just make HQ hard to get into and also protect Sneak Dart Beta is good. I'm trying a GameNet deck that I basically net decked / made some modifications to. I haven't tried it yet, so who knows how it's gonna go. Early game, we have Ice, which is good. Border control and HQ is all right, not a great against Amakua, and then Data Raven could go in front of that maybe. I just don't want them to bounce off of it with Turning Wheel if that's what they're on. I guess if they're on directives, maybe not. This hand we could get a lot worse. I want to make sure we keep Gabe out, and we have 3 ways to let them come out, and also us keep him out. And with Thimble Rig later in the game, we can move our Ice around if we don't have anything too optimal, which is not too bad. All right, so this deck it cares about the credit differential pretty heavily on the basis that it has C-Source and hard-hitting news. It's also GameNet, which is an idea I've actually never I think I've only played once or twice. I don't think it's implemented on JNet, like it's not automatic. This on HQ is okay. It stops obviously diversion of funds and strong runs, and if they hit it, we actually make money, which is okay. From here, we could ice up R&D. Data Raven is pretty good on a remote. We can just put this on R&D and click for a credit. The next turn, we can do credit, IPO if we don't have to res, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to res the border control. At least we only res it for 3 credits. We'll see how it goes. All right, yeah, sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. I just put the decks together real last minute, registered in the last second, and now we're here. I'm hoping everything is going okay. So give me a second to calm down if we can. There's a sec testing, so it gives us a reason to ice up all our servers to make sure they're not getting 2 credits. And on top of that, they can get some other stuff. This doesn't work well with Amakua. Ooh, that's a lot of influence. But it's fine. It works with Data Sucker, which I reckon they might be on. Putting a Data Raven on archives isn't amazing. Ideally, we'd want to swap it with Thimble Rig. At least we can do, I guess we might just let them have the 2 credits here. If they run, they technically are weak to C-Source and we have closed accounts or just trash their stuff. So I don't mind if they run too much, especially when we have this credit lead up. This is going to give them a card, which is probably, I don't know, maybe right now because they don't have credits is better than a credit because they need to do I guess they could dirty laundry here in archives. That would be the best case scenario. And they end up getting 5 credits. But they do interact with us, which is scary. Even hard-hitting news right now, they have to respect. And we do have 2 in our deck and a consulting visit. So we can pull it if we draw that card. Unfortunately, if we want to jam our Rashida, we're going to need ice on it. So this does slow us down a wee bit. I would probably C-Source trash Beth, trash sec testing though if they do interact with us. We're not going to end up spending too much money. I think it's going to be like 3 credits and then trash. Spending up a Gulta early. I don't know what sentries you're really worried to break against NBN that you want to go down to 1 credit. A lot of times Data Raven you'll trace even though that gives us money. I guess do you expect Turnpike, which yeah, it's. I guess they don't have a link. They're not 419. Throwing out an Earthrise in the special order. So they don't have a lot of money. The Data Raven quantum predictive model it's all right. It's pretty weak against inside job. I think we can just push this in onto remote. And if this fires, we'll get ice and money, which helps us threaten hard-hitting news and C-Source and stuff. Yeah, they have only 1 credits. They could run archives to get 3, but again, then hard-hitting news, they can lose really quickly. If we're not actually a kill deck, like we don't have any meat damage punishment, that's largely what people respect. Yo, this chair is really loud. Oh my God. Beth also getting another card. Not a lot you can do with 1 credit. They're going to be really encouraged to run, which is probably pretty good for us. We could actually pre-res this to stop them from falsifying, but we haven't seen Amakua yet. I wonder if they want to keep their falsifieds just for... the inside job is fine for us, but they might want to keep falsifieds for advanced cards. There's a turning wheel, so that's a reason why Raven's bad. Thimble Rig technically is bad too, but if they run... it's not going to do well for them. They're not doing a lot in their turn, so we want to maybe push it. So make sure they don't get into HQ. And hey, you know what? Slot Machine's perfect for archives. It makes it pretty hard to get in. We're still going to have to res the Raven on the remote. Otherwise, they could sec test it if we don't res it. So I think this is fine. Having 2 ice on HQ is also pretty good. We haven't flooded up too heavily, which is always nice. We probably just want to jam install advance to this thing. And this is probably okay. They interact with us again. We have a huge credit lead. They don't have any money. They're going to get 5 clicks though, which, you know, it's pretty similar than a card and a credit. I don't think they have many better ways to capitalize on 5 clicks this turn, besides specifically clicking for credits. So being over 15 isn't too big of a deal. 2 credits to play inside job. That's totally fine. Not only did they just run, they can't even trash NGO front. What's sec testing on? Target no server. Oh, okay. So they can't even trash that. And now they've run, and we can even advance this next turn. So I assume we're going to do C-source trash as much of the board as we can. I don't actually know if we need to trash the sec testing, considering we've iced everything up. And that's an inside job down. It's kind of cool to have the inside job or the Raven on the inside so that the inside job isn't amazing. Because you get to bypass the tag, which is a big part of the stress. No, they should have a 5th click. Oh, wait, hold on. They did Beth, so they gained a click. So they did their inside job, credit. You should have a 5th. All right, so basically, do we want to trash Beth? I think it's a fine time to do it. This isn't like game winning, but we're gonna spend a little money on this, and we don't need to pop that. So we're just gonna do, again, hard-hitting news could have been probably a bit better here. At least we wouldn't have been able to trash things. I guess they could have maybe cleared all the tags. Forgot Beth. So now we can trash Beth and probably trash the turning wheel. I don't think the sec testing is gonna be that good for them right now. Cool. So just don't get doofed. Again, we have 5 credits off short. I'm gonna go ahead and res this so it's not weak to falsified. They know what it is. There's not really a reason to not pre-res at this point. Queen's Gambit. So the economy is struggling. And we can start to push into their mode. Oh, we can just get this daily quest going. I think putting this on HQ is okay at this point. Again, we want to make sure Gabe doesn't succeed. You could always sneak door beta through the slot machine. We also push out the NGO, but I don't think we have to go too fast. This on HQ is probably a bit better. We're gonna have to build a remote eventually, but this is really taxing for Gabe unless they decide to go tag me, which I don't know. I feel like if they can get into HQ, they can maybe snowball, and we're pretty set up for legwork. At least this also protects the Quantum Kitty. We're just gonna pop this and plug in the daily quest, and we'll pre-res it so we get the value of the turn. They're gonna have to circumvent a Data Raven somehow to get in here. They can always break it with Begulter, but then they take a tag, then they run. Some pretty good stuff happening for us. And again, our ability hasn't fired yet, but largely that's only going to be happening on ice. I think that's the only way that we don't have Ash or any other like upgrade trace. So if they spend or lose a credit to one of our cards, playing on the class side at this point, they don't have any money to play the cards that they draw. So they're just going to spend the rest of their turn clicking up. And this daily quest probably lasts another turn until we get another ice on here. And then we start jamming like either the quantum, but probably actually scoring the quantum early is good because then we have this exchange of information play, which is pretty nice. Let's draw for an ice. That's good enough. It eats inside job. It's not amazing on this remote, but again, we can always move things around if we do get a Thimble Rig resed. And we could hedge fund, but we really don't need the money this turn. So I'm just gonna click for a credit so we have another card in our hand so we're not weak to whatever HQ pressure or sneak door beta or whatever could happen. Sec testing on archives. Class act drawing filtered draw. Again, really strong card. That's all their, at least one draw turn to be a filtered double draw. And there's a pad tap coming down, which will definitely have the economy to trash. It's going to get money off of the daily quest for sure, because, well, it fires. And Paragon, again, putting it down to 0, playing a run-based card. They do have Misdirection, which is really good against C-Source, or sorry, hard-hitting news, which, even if we do C-Source, it's fine. But I don't know, I like keeping this card in hand. They don't even have the money to fire it, though. Hydra. That's something that you can deal with a Begulter. It's going to take a bit of money. So we're going to go ahead and trash that for sure. That slows us down from jamming the SSL. I think we're just going to jam the Quantum. We can do Quantum Advance Hedge Fund. And then next turn we can, we can't hedge fund, that's fine. So if they run through this, they need Spearfishing basically to not take the tag from the Data Raven. And if they take the tag from the Data Raven, that Quantum is ours anyways. And I like the advance here just so that we can do something next turn, jam into the remote if we need to. Jamming the 5-3 is amazing. We just want to keep our money up because anything they draw, I don't think much is playable. I imagine a lot of their economy is run-based and just putting ice on everything, let alone most of our ice also gives us economy. It's going to be difficult. So the slot machine's actually not that bad here because they still lose a credit. They had no money. We want to get a credit. So we're going to fire Unbroken Subroutines. It's event program. Oh, if that was all 3, it was great. So special order to RNG key into Amakua. So we're going to fire Unbroken, which we gain 3. We also gain 1 because they lose 1 because of GameNet. That's not automated, unfortunately. So we res that actually for 1 credit, and they're going to gain 2 credits on an axis here and 3 credits actually with Paragon. So now they either choose to put special order on the bottom of their deck or the RNG key. I imagine special order might be a bit better here. And then Amaku is going to come down eventually, which is pretty good against Thimblerig and technically border control, but the other stuff is pretty all right. And we want to really hit them with a Hydra. If the Hydra fires, they're in a pretty bad spot. I don't know if they're going to expect a Hydra. Man, getting 3 free advancements on this would have been dope. That can sometimes happen, huh? So credit, and throwing out a special order. So they have 5 credits. We have a global food. So we can just go ahead and score this. So now in theory, if we tag them, exchange is a pretty strong play. From here, we don't have that much money. We want to make sure that we have 8, and they might be setting up for sneak door beta. So I don't know if we put the Hydra on archives. R&D is a bit soft. But actually, I don't know. Putting this on R&D seems okay. If they have RNG key, right? Again, that's HQ pressure, R&D pressure. Imagine they do have find the truth or some way to capitalize on RNG key. I don't think they're just going to be guessing. And sneak door beta is really strong right now. We have 2 agendas. But we also don't have any tag punishment right now in our hand. We could preemptive a C-source back, but it's like, you know, not amazing. So security testing on here. So they're going to lose 3 more credits. This is definitely not worth it. Like, there's no way this is worth it. So they're going to encounter the ISIS program, event. So Amaku on the top into Bravado, which is really good for them right now, and Sure Gamble. So we're going to fire on broken subs. So they lose 3, we gain 4, and they just gain 3 in a Paragon. I don't know why they would do this. They break even and they just gave us money. I guess it gets through their deck too, but not really. So now they can choose whether to draw the Amaku or the Bravado. I think they might want the, like the Amaku seems like, I don't know, it's a good breaker in these kinds of decks. It's not good in this situation. But the Bravado is money, and that's, I hope they Bravado like into the Hydra. That'd be sick. How much money do they need to break all the Hydra? 8? And then they get 2 back. So as long as they hit this with 8. Class Act's going to draw. So now we don't know anything about the top of the deck. They either drew Sure Gamble or something else. I imagine they just slammed the Gamble right now. There's Amakua, so they didn't pick the Bravado, and now they also can't play the Gamble if they drew it. We also haven't seen it restricted, so they could be on Class Act. Gold Farmer is good on Archives. It's also just a fine card, but maybe we can ignore that shit and just jam into this remote. It seems okay. Slot Machine into Raven, like this doesn't end the run. Gold Farmer technically also doesn't end the run. I don't know. I feel like they just have run economy. If we just ice up everything, we might be in a good spot. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, playing slow here feels bad. All right. So Amaku is gonna be hard to get value from. I think we have 1 IP block, maybe 2 IP blocks in this deck, which I think is pretty okay. A lot of people trace into that, which means you get GameNet value. But this ability hasn't been that relevant right now, besides 2 credits and 2 more influence. This deck was originally, the shell came from an Asmari deck, which I could see being pretty powerful. It's a thinner deck, less agendas. You still want to run 1-pointers if you're playing Exchange. And there's the Gamble. So that's, yeah, okay. We have a Gold Farmer for the remote, which is okay. They can always pay 6 to go through this if they really want to. And we want to make sure we keep our money up. It's kind of dodgy playing the hedge fund here because there's definitely agendas in hand, and it's been a while since we've scored anything. So we're going to posture to jam next turn. Hopefully they don't Bravado something. If they Bravado something, Bravado this. It's a lot of money to res this. All right. Okay, I think we're just going to head and res the Hydra. If I'm not mistaken, they need 5, 6, 7, 8 credits. So this is going to be most of their money unless they let it fire. Hope they're not on D-res effects. They actually might be on emergency shutdown considering the pressure from Gabe. But this is 5, 6, 7, 8. Otherwise, we can gain 5 and end the run and give them a tag. Or they can break it. They'll be down on very few credits. And then if they keep going, the Thimble Rig is up. They could break it for sure with Amakua. But then the Thimble Rig is alive, which is super potent. So they're breaking it for 8. They gain 2 back. They're continuing, so the second Hydra, but it's just a Thimble Rig. And there's how quickly our money goes. Okay, they jacked out. So yeah, scoring anything else. They installed to find the truth. So there you go. That's why they're playing RNG key. We're going to know every card they draw now, but we just want to keep our money up. If we jam in the remote, it's going to be hard to res ice on here and on server 1 as well. Just because of a diversion of funds play will be pretty difficult to deal with. I feel like our economy might be a bit better than theirs. We can just click for credits. But ideally, this is where you have a daily quest ticking away in the remote. Maybe we jammed it a bit too early. We could have just jammed the quantum and had the daily quest for like 4 more turns. Clicking for credits feels bad. How hard is it to get to this remote? They could pay 6 or get an Amaku counter, which is difficult. Here on the remote, we have a border control, which we could always pop and they can't deal with it. I feel like we might be able to just jam the SSL. If they steal it, it's not the end of the world. Just don't want to get doofed. And also most of this ice, once they interact with it, and we get money back. So we make money sometimes when they res, or when they run, excuse me. So far our ability hasn't fired a lot. So they're running HQ. This is only for security testing, so it's 4 credits. So I think we can just not res the Raven and res the border control, which will be a 3 credit res. Or is the Raven better? If they go through the Raven, they take a tag, and then, because they can't get through the border control. They, in theory, can they trace through the Raven or break the Raven? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I guess so. Now we'll just break the border control. So this fires. So we get 2 credits back. Yeah, this is cheaper. This is a 2 credit res. So they don't have the one Amakua token. Oh, sorry, I need to get 2 credits as a sub. They just jacked out. So from here, server 1 still has a gold farmer, which they're 1 token short I'm getting into. If they break this though, we do get money, and then Slot Machine doesn't do anything, but Data Raven's kind of annoying. Again, if they get the SSL, we still get the money. And from that point forward, we can threaten exchange of information, which is pretty good. We just need to draw a C-source or hard-hitting news that lands. And it looks like a lot of the hard-hitting newses will land. All right, they're running the remote. So I think we can res the gold farmer. It'll probably just end. It definitely does. It just end the run. So they can pay 3 credits or end the run. If they pay 3 credits, we gain money, but they can't do it twice. So they're just gonna end the run. So a bit of a zigzag, but our ice is keeping them out right now. And we might not have to score this next turn. A falsified here would be pretty good. They'll get money, they get an Amakua token, and they could kind of come back. They just drew a dirty laundry. We're gonna know everything they draw. So they have a dirty laundry. So if we score this, we go down to 1 credit, and then they can like dirty laundry archive. So I don't think we need to score this right away. I think we might just click for 3. They also got a DreamNet into the bin. Really good. I don't think they're gonna have 2 link. They're just playing this like a tagless Jackson Clare. Or not Jackson Clare. What's his face? Chatting with Babes, dude. I forget his name. John Masanori. Cool. Border control also, it's kind of unfortunate we showed that. It was cost effective, but now they know what they need to get into HQ, maybe? Like, or they also know that the first diversion will probably be border controlled, which, you know, is a lot. They just drew a career fair. We get to see in the chat log because of Find the Truth every card they draw. So we kind of want to keep track of that. So career fair, dirty laundry, I think is all we know. We might have missed one. I don't keep the best chat of the log when I'm talking. And they're just clicking for credits. So next turn, if we score the SSL, we'll be on 4. And they threw out a diversion. That's maybe a good reason why to res that. And then we have a C-source, so that's fantastic. That means we have C-source into exchange, but they need to score a 3-pointer for that to be really relevant. This will give us money in the short run. Gold Farmer is money. Slot Machine doesn't end the run, and we already have 2 of them on the table. Unfortunately, the Slot Machine is here, which is not amazing. I'd rather have anything else there. And we really need to get that Thimble Rig res. I think maybe our placement of the Hydra means that they're not going to ever hit the Thimble Rig. They're just going to give up on R&D, which is a bit of a bummer. Played Gamble. They drew a Gamble, then they played it. So their hand is 2 dirty laundries and a career fair, I think. Amina's coming down. That deals with code gates relatively well. It's still 4 credits. I think all the code gates we have is the Thimble Rig, which we'll only use for positioning. And then they can still break Slot Machine for 4. And we lose 1, which is, you know, good. We could jam the SSL here. Slot Machine is a Data Raven. If they run the slot, like how do they... I don't feel like we have enough money. We need to have 5 cards to score. I guess we get 3 from this. Can we just jam an SSL? We also could have put Bologna into this deck, huh? Thinking. We could just consider jamming SSL. We know their hand is 2 dirty laundries. I reckon they want a dirty laundry here. But if we jam SSL... we can do install advance. We'd be on 5 credits. Then we could res the Raven, and then they have to deal with the Raven. They have to deal with the Gold Farmer. They still need to get a token. So imagine they just dirty laundry here. If they dirty laundry here, we'll be on 5. We can res the Gold Farmer. They can't get through. So this we can lock them out in. This we can't. This they are locked out in until they find like I don't know what their Tycoon or whatever the breaker is. It's just the remote is actually the weakest server right now. You could just do this maybe and roll it out 2 turns. We also don't have any CVS or anything, so if the Amakua gets big, we probably want to purge it. Maybe we could have double advanced there. Clicking for 2 credits doesn't seem amazing, but next turn we could do double credit, install Gold Farmer. Gold Farmer is technically 4 to break. They drew a Bravado, they drew a career fair. Bravado for the remote's great. They have a Gamble now too. So now they have some money. They're throwing out a career fair, the second career fair. So they have a bravado and I think 2 laundries. We'll gain the money. Oh man, if we didn't jam that, we could have jammed NGO front. So we can do advance, jam another gold farmer on that. I think this deck doesn't have surveyor, but this is where surveyor starts to get good. And we haven't seen a boomerang just yet either. So if we install this on the remote, it's some money. It's what, 1, 2, 3. I don't think we need to. I think we just do credit advance. We might want to preemptive back in. Oh, we have a C-source exchange. Yeah, I don't think we care that much if they steal this one. We could have probably just advance next turn. We give them a whole turn to get money from bravado and everything else. Where do we put this? The server's still pretty good. They might go for a doof. Then they have to deal with data raven. Gold farmer into slot machine into raven. That's a pretty annoying server. If we put this on there, we're going to be on 3 credits. I feel like we just want the money to be able to res this. So I think we might just preemptive here. So we'll put back in a C-source. We'll put back in, I think an NGO front is great because they have to run the remote. And I'd rather actually just have the flexibility of hedge fund, which works a bit better with C-source than IPO because it's terminal. Maybe actually just getting the gold farmer is good too. Or sorry, not the gold farmer, the daily quest, but we still have 2 in the deck. So sec testing going on archives, class act drawing 1. So we're going to see what it is. It's a diversion of funds. Find the truth, just recruiter, they're installing it. So they have 1 click to run the remote, which means the data raven is going to look pretty nice. All right, good game. We're just going to score that out of the remote. All right, run-based economy, you put ice on every server. It seems like they had no economy besides Sure Gamble that wasn't run-based. I'll build the second lobby. So a lot of they click 23 times for credits. We did click 13, but if you ice up everything, a lot of these Amakua builds can struggle. I find a lot of time, maybe they have it like Caddy Jones, something that can kind of give you money for doing nothing is okay. Gabe's ability unfortunately didn't fire once, but we ice HQ. I'm also surprised, like based off this rig, I don't think they're on sneaked or beta because their MU is all tight. But anyways, we'll be jumping back for round 2. See you in a bit. All right, round 2. This is going to be interesting. I'm playing a Tag Me Null deck, and this is the outfit, which classically does try and kill you a lot of the time. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Yeah, this is a Null deck. I actually haven't played this version of the deck myself, but we played on the channel before trying to build a Tag Me Null deck, and I didn't like it too much. And then Zombie put a YouTube comment putting about their list, and this is basically a mixture between the two. And I'm really excited for it. The best thing that we could get is an early... basically dummy box we want and an early paparazzi so we don't get killed. But we have an obelisk, we have a Sure Gamble. This could be good enough. I don't know whether this is just a program destruction version. Best of luck, have fun. Or whether this is more of a kill version of the deck. So we're going to have to try and just set up. If you don't know this deck, it basically tries to get a lot of tags and then access a lot of cards with counter surveillance, sometimes half of their deck. So we can set up a wee bit. Double Gamble is a good start. They also don't know what kind of deck we are, so as soon as we put down an obelisk, they might get wise of what we're up to, which is, you know, a bit unfortunate. Our restricted card is labor rights, which is not something we at all want in our opening hand. We might actually discard that at some point. But we'll just take the money. Unfortunately, also, because of the outfit, we kind of can guess what their agenda or their ice suite is. Imagine you're seeing a lot of trebuchets, a lot of bulwarks, and those ice are really hard for us to deal with considering we're playing God of War, which is really bad at dealing with big ice. Install advance, probably a hostile. There's a hostile, so we got a bad pub. They get a lot of money from that, 10 credits altogether, not including the 2 they pay for it. And we still kind of have the credit lead. If we play obelisk, we could run R&D and draw a card. I think we want to just set up. Liberated's good. It's not exactly setting up, but it's money, and money does matter in this matchup, but not entirely actually, because we're going to go tag ourselves. EMP device, I really like this card. It's really good in the matchup. I think we're actually going to throw out labor rights. Hopefully we can win faster. They're running a lot of 3-pointers too. SDS drone deployment is going to be hard for us to steal with limited programs, and maybe we'll try and trash it with by any means. That can work out pretty well for us. Tithonium also is nice they play. Sometimes we might lose our liberated. I don't know what's in server 1 with an upgrade on top of it. That looks really weird. Do we just run it? Like, what can we face check into? Archer's not bad. Tithonium's the worst. Anything else gives us bad pub? Yeah, I think we'll run it. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. They res a bulwark, so they basically res this for 5 less, so 5. So we'll continue to counter it. We won't, use our ability, fly, and it'll end the run. So we made them spend money, which is good. We don't have to trash program. So they spent some money on that at least. We got more bad pub, which is good because we have Street Peddler. Sometimes we can actually capitalize on that. We'll draw another rogue trading, not particularly what we want. I think we actually can play the Obelisk. Assuming they're going to score out an Atlas or something like that, we have to go really fast. We haven't found any breakers, and technically running R&D is a bit better than just clicking to draw. Oh, this also could be the meat damage or tag one. Oh, it's just a CST. Weird. Okay, cool. Money. So we're going to run R&D. In theory, it's bad to snare, but this gets us an access and a card draw. To border control. That's really important in this matchup considering we are playing counter surveillance, but we have no tags to speak of. We need to draw way faster than what we're drawing right now. We need to draw really fast. Play an EMP device. That'll get him off our tail. Yeah, if we can't find God of War, the only other way we have to take tags is rogue trading, and we don't have paparazzi or dummy box, so we're not going to be able to protect ourselves. They're on 3 points, which means they still have a bit of work to do. The CST is going to give them probably the full 10 credits, and it looks like there's a border control on server 1 with something else. So we're just going to keep doing what we do, which is unfortunately not find any breakers. It's a guard. Interesting. Looks like a faster rush deck if that's the case. We did find our God of War. I feel like if they score an agenda here and go to game point, we're so far behind that we just have to hope that they're not a tag me deck. And so far, guard doesn't really seem like they're a tag me deck. I think they might just be a rush deck. So we might just not respect that and go all in. Yeah, okay. So next turn we can take 2 tags, which means the counter surveillance will see 2. From that point on, I think just an Atlas. Oh, a merger. Christ, that's fast. Okay, so I don't think they're on a tag me deck. That's also a really good hit. So from here, we're just going to start taking tags. So this is going to give us a tag to place 2 virus counters on it. We can use those virus counters to break ice subroutines. So we're now technically tag me. Our hand size is plus equal to our amount of tags we have. They might have what they need in hand to jam in the remote, but at least EMP device does threaten the bulwark. We'll run R&D just to get that free card draw. To Project Atlas, that's a good hit. We'll go in again. We need to get our accesses. We're in a pretty bad spot. And the next thing all we care about is tags. It's increased op rates. Take 1 tag to prevent the corp from moving bad publicity. Wait, that means they care about tags. Yeah, we'll take a tag. Wait, this could be perfect. We could farm this. We also just have a chance here of dying to boom, which we're just hoping they're not on if they're on merger. Do we want to trash this for free? Yeah, we can always run archives to farm it. So from here, we can take more tags with rogue trading, or we can just run it back. And they have mergers. But we have 2 tags right now, which is really scary. We could technically threaten to run HQ. With 7 credits, they could run Resident Archer, which would be not the worst. We'd EMP device it. Yeah, we'll run HQ and see what Afshar they have here. The Afshar only takes our bad pub. It's a guard. Okay, so at least they still have the money to... yeah, we'll throw out this. It doesn't matter. And then we can fully break guard with subroutine. This gives us a single access, so we have a small chance of breaking, trashing a boom if they have it. They did res too. Just a border control. Okay, so that's a card we knew. From here, I don't know, we can draw into paparazzi, but it's a bit too late to play it. So we might just straight up be dead at this point. Black Orchestra. That's good for a triple advanced Whoredom in the matchup. Oh, and they also have CST, so it's a bit harder to deny them their boom money. They're just jamming some more. Oh, they had it. Oof. Ooh, Audacity into a merger. Good game. Oh, we could have flushed their hand out actually by any means. Wow. Wow, they just fast advanced out. They scored everything from hand. We didn't even get a combo out. I don't think... Were you on meat damage? Oh, yeah, we don't draw enough. So for draw, I've had worse, Deuces Wild. We have 3 of each of them, which would be pretty good. But at this point, we just needed an amount of tags. So we're a bit slow on the pull, but we could have actually farmed Rogue Trading or the card. I don't know if it fires from archives. I imagine it does. To just get more tags to access out purely vegan. Now that's what I was betting on. All right, well, good game. Couldn't go fast enough. They got up to 7 points, just enough. They had exactly the Audacity. Did they have, how many cards do they have in hand? I think they threw out, did they have just 3? No, I think they had a bit more. It doesn't tell you. Oh, well, good games. We'll go on to round 2. Hopefully we can get our tags in and close the game. All right, so still round one. We have a lot of time left, so I just jumped into this is John versus Roberto, and they're playing with their hand open, so this is really good. Looks like it might be game two, and we're looking at Kit Peddler. 45-10, first ice encountered every turn is a code gate. Playing against Roberto on an Ag Infusion. Ooh, interesting Ag Infusion deck. Strong again, 17 influence, and lets you boop people around into ice, which can be scary when you're relying on Kit. This kit deck actually might be the kit deck that we played on stream. It looks like it is, that we played on stream a couple days ago. It was running Cyber Trooper Talut. It's recycling Oiler over and over and again. It was kind of fun to play. I found that there wasn't enough economy on my side of things. So far, not going too poorly. There is a discrepancy between the economy right now. And Roberto jamming in a remote. It's an Obokata. I don't think this deck is on Film Critic, so it looks like Kit might gonna have to eat that 4 net damage if they want to take it. And oh wow, you see some good ice, man. Fairchild 3, always a fun include as a 3 influence splash. Not always expected, but a strong face check in a deck where you're mostly scared a lot of times from the sentries. It's always nice to have a good code gate. Same with DNA tracker, and on top of that, you can always boop somebody into it by trashing one of your installed ice. Beth, giving 15 clicks. It's always a puzzle whether John can get into the remote with 5 clicks and 7 credits. The Oiler is super strong on the turn that it is installed. After that, it's a bit expensive. 2 for 2 code gate subroutines lands kind of poorly against the DNA tracker, which you're breaking for 4, let alone way more to boost. So it's like, what, 8 credits to get through that? But you do have the Simul chip if you want to trash it. You could also just put pressure on other remotes. I don't think Roberto's happy to score this, but this also could be an NGO front, could be a bluffed. You always have to respect the Nisei Mark II. And it looks like the second Oiler's coming down, trashing the first just to make sure it's in the bin. And now this one can break code gate subroutines for free for this turn and going and charging the remote with 1 click left. I don't know what this ice is. Looks like it's a boarding control. Roberto could choose to res it and just end the run. You want to wait. I guess you wait for the encounter so Kit can make it a code gate. I don't actually know if that works or matters, but at that point they just run it back. So at least this is going to, no, this is just going to be kind of expensive. It's 4 credits to get in. But hey, actually with only 3 cards in hand, Roberto doesn't even have to do much here. Didn't even have to res the border control. I guess this does force out some money. Well, actually forces out nothing. That's a weird res, right? Because this is a code gate because of Kit. And they break all the subroutines for free. So they're through. The DNA tracker is going to cost them 4 credits to boost the strength. And from there, they're going to access what they're hoping is an Obokata protocol. DNA tracker, 6 strength, 3 subs. The amount of subs don't matter on the turn Oiler comes in. We also do have that pocket Palangi, just in case you hit something you're scared of. It's also really important to know when Ag Infusion, when you boop somebody, when you move them onto another server, you are encountering the ice, you're not approaching it, which means that the corp doesn't have the ability to res it. You can only res ice on approach. So you basically want to get a scary ice res on a different server on the outermost to make your ability have teeth. Otherwise, it is just kind of like a border control ability. You can just be like, oh, you're running archives or whatever, it doesn't matter. John accessing the Obokata, drawing last click. Obviously a bit of a bummer, but it looks like Roberto might want to score that out, spending 3 credits on a whole turn to get 3 points on the table. That also moves 2 fan sites. This deck is running, I think, 3 fan sites, 2 Artist Colony. Yeah, this is definitely the deck that we played. This was the deck list of the week last week. Ace Pawn Shop is their restricted card, so Roberto, sigh of relief once he sees that on the table. He doesn't have to respect, he doesn't have to, his Obokatas are a lot more safe. And there's an Artist Colony, which means you can forfeit an agenda at any paid ability window to install a card from your stack, paying all costs, which is really important for a deck that runs multiple Oilers that you want to get down immediately. This deck also might be running Ankuza, which is a really cool counter to cards like Border Control, let alone any card that you can make a barrier with Palangi. Also, just pulling out a Palangi mid-run is incredibly strong. And here's the Aesop's Pawn Shop. Oh, I totally forgot, actually. That needs to be corrected. The Oiler that came down was 4 strength because of the Cyber Trooper Talut. So breaking this was only 2 credits. That's a really, really good combo. This card I don't think was in the original deck list of the week, but the author recommended adding it in. Roberto, still some work to do. Economy has been okay. Celebrity Gift into IPO, into Hedge Fund and Rashida. That's kind of what you want to see, but with a lot of expensive ice in hand, a lot of the times you just want to find that ice early so you can get a resed with Ag Infusion, but you don't need to res all your big, expensive, scary ice. So we'll see. Throwing out a misdirection. Not very valuable in a matchup. You don't even expect to see any tags. Maybe the tags on snare. And it looks like with only 4 hand size, a stim hack happened earlier, probably to pop the SMC. And Roberto drawing into an NGO front could go for the bluff play, could push into this remote server. Now, technically, there's some times where install advance on the NGO front looks a bit scarier, kind of mimics what a Nisei Mark II looks like in the wild, but you can always install advance Nisei Mark IIs. Roberto, credit. There's a good reason why you want to put your code gates on the outermost, just to make sure that they end up eating the most Palangi tokens that they need to while running your remote. Aesop's Pawn Shop actually using a fan site to install a Harbinger at the top of the turn and then pawning it immediately. That's 6 credits worth of value, straight up clickless value too, which is pretty buck wild. And now because the program has been trashed this turn, the ability on Simulchip is available, so you can always pull out an Euler cheap. And this deck runs either 2 or 3 RDIs, R&D interfaces. One of them is already in the heap, and you want to get those down to lock R&D. And with a slot machine, you just pay 3 credits sometimes to get through that. Yeah, you might give the corp money. And looking at stim hack into Simulchip into Euler, looks like it's only going to be 3 credits to get through this. It does eat your kit ability, but you are going to be able to see cards. You can also pop the fan site to install an RDI mid-run if you want, to make sure that you're seeing 2 cards on the top of R&D. Let's see if John values that R&D pressure, because in the late game, there's a lot of decks that can't break out of R&D pressure. They don't have DRM, the digital rights management, to pull agendas. They don't have fast track. So if the cards are on top of the deck, or the agendas are on top of the deck, if you don't spend your whole turn drawing, you might not get them. But John opting not to pull down the RDI that soon, drawing into the stim hack on the top. And if Roberto's paying attention, there he knows there's a pocket stim hack there. John going to discard down 1, down with the ace hops, and hey, there's a Kakuko off the top. Net damage can be relevant. This deck used to have, I think, a Caldera in it that got taken out, and it looks like we're going to go ahead and jam that NGO front. Install, maybe advance, something else, maybe double advance. Ooh, taking back that click, something else it wants to happen. And still, with just the Palanki and Euler and the Simulchip threat, there's a lot of ice that Kid can get through relatively cheaply. Looks like we're getting that another ice on the outside. There's the Fairchild 3, and again, this is a code gate, so it's going to eat Kit's ability. So if Kit wants to get through the Nancy, they're going to have to either find a killer, which I think in this deck is an Ika, or break with Palangi, which, again, Roberto could always purge. And there you go, install advance. Looks like a Nisei. That's a very strong snowballing agenda, a very big incentive for John to get into this remote. This is turn 9. I don't think we missed too much at the early game. I think they just set up. And I imagine the SSL came off of probably the remote. Beth coming in for the credit. Daily cast ticking for 2. You do have the fan site. It's so hard to play around. And with only 10 influence, I don't think this deck worries about it, but there's a lot of tricks that Kit might struggle to put in their deck that are shaper tricks, like Clot, stuff like that. So while there's still a lot of options, it might be a bit more limited. Going for a single on HQ, that's a Cortex lock, which if you res it, they still have to break it for 4 credits if they're just using this Euler on the table. Otherwise, they can choose to take 2 net damage. I don't know if they want to. A lot of times, you just want to provoke this res here to make sure ice on HQ is res, so you can get a bit more value from the very expensive, but only 1 influence gauntlet, which gives you multi-access based off of the ice, protecting HQ that you broke all subroutines. Interestingly, Neil, a lot of times in the late game, you want to not have to break the Cortex lock subroutine, so it's kind of interesting. Roberto opting not for res here. Not a lot of cards in hand that they care about either revealing on the axis or having stolen or trash. So John's seeing the preemptive. Very flexible card. This shows up. This is our Jackson Howard, right? Screaming onto R&D after this kind of looks like there's a notoriety going on, but Euler into event into resources, perfect. Just a 3 credit loss there. It's Euler into deuces into daily casts. Slot machine just going to make John lose 3. From here, again, still has the play of fan site into R&D interface to see 2 off the top. And again, getting that lock down. Looks like John maybe believes they can't get into the remote. They just did use their kit ability on the slot machine. And Roberto's probably just wants to jam everything they get into this remote. Single access off the top. Not stolen, not trashed. John has to figure out how to get through this. And my play, I believe on stream we played this deck relatively poorly, admittedly. But I felt like it had a hard time doing very strong value runs because a lot of times you need to reinstall Euler just to get that +2 strength, let alone the 0 credit per subroutine. And that's why cards like Simulchip get taxed out really early. You don't have cards like Rejig or Uninstall or anything like that. And it looks just a Simulchip on the tail. The Euler in hand actually can be a bad thing. Sometimes you want to keep that in your deck specifically so you can fan sight it out. But at least you do have the access with 2 simul chips to install one, making it 4 strength, 0 to break subs. Roberto icing up R&D Kakugo, only weak really to turning wheel, otherwise going to just jam the NGO front. I imagine that was a misclick. Yeah, that definitely was a misclick. Wanted to advance that. If they pop it here, they have nothing better to do, so I don't know if that res was on purpose. It's really easy to accidentally res a card. Yeah, I don't think there's any advantage. They're not scared of like Councilman Run or anything like that. So back to John. Might be difficult to find something to pawn shop this turn. It's going to be getting 3 credits off the top from daily casts and Beth. I think you might just want to go ahead and basically use this fan site aggressively so you can pawn the Artist Colony just to get more value out of it. Actually, there you go. Fan site just installed the Harbinger for free. You're going to pawn that off the top. So maybe the Artist Colony doesn't stay around for that much longer. It's also a really good turn now to use the simul chip. To be able to install your Oiler for free. That comes in at 4 strength, breaks subs for free on code gates. And with the no res on HQ, I think John can have a read that there's nothing in there worth pursuing. And hey, flame out. This is a really cool hardware. Kind of resembles StimHack, but basically you get credits to use your programs that are installed on this. At the end of the turn, they will be trashed. A lot of times that doesn't matter too much when you're simul chipping them back over and over again. But that's a lot of free value. It's a lot of value, as long as you're okay with bringing your programs back from the heap. Charging here R&D, it's only a single axis. It's hard to win this game off a single axis, especially with a deck that seems to have a lot of 3-pointers. I imagine there's Nisei Mark IIs in here. There's a Kakugo, technically a code gate. You can break that for still 2, kind of expensive, and take a net damage. John has to end with 4 cards in hand anyways because of brain damage, so the net damage might not be that impactful, probably hoping to lose the Aesops here. There is some reason sometimes you want a Rozeki. Oh, sorry, what do they call it? Not Rozeki, a Palangi in the bin. I'm not sure what's on top of John's deck, but I think it's 2 different cards if he didn't draw. Kakugo 2 net damage, perfectly hitting the Aesops. Fantastic. Now, there's only 1 Aesops left on the table, 2 in the bin. I don't know whether we're going to see something like a voter intimidation, but if Roberto can trash that Aesops, John's going to have a bit of a struggle with the economy. Hitting the slot machine's resource hardware program, Artist Colony into Flame Out into Ankuza. What a spicy card. So that's only 3 credit loss. Single axis off the top. Still have enough cards to steal the Obokata. And it's a Rashida being trashed for 1. So instead, Roberto gets the Kakugo off the top. Kakugo is actually really, really shitty against Ankuza. If you don't know what Ankuza is, it's an expensive program that is... It's not good at breaking barriers technically, like and economically, but it is really good at breaking low strength barriers. You can basically pay your 3 credits to not only not take the net damage from Kakugo, but put it back into the corpse hand. So they have to reinstall it and re-res it. I feel like the Kakugos might be unplayable at this point. I would not be excited to strap them onto R&D for 7 credits with res cost. So we'll see what Roberto decides. Just actually clicking for credits, drawing cards, still... Roberto only looks like they have 4 credits. They do have 8 offshore on the NGO front. And John drawing up. Pink to play another Artist Colony. Did not realize it wasn't unique. Pawned the daily cast before it expired, or I don't know if it had 5 or 2 on it. And playing the Gauntlet, actually, probably just valuing the MU. But now there's very little reason for Roberto to ice up HQ, let alone... There's just not a lot of HQ pressure in this deck, so icing up HQ seems a bit... I don't see why they would do it, considering I think they're going to jam everything they draw off of R&D. Install, advance. That is an Obokata. Roberto only at 10 credits. Still is going to need 3 more to score this if they want to score next turn, but dealing with some big old ice, even a DNA tracker, border control, and the Ag Infusion ability, there's a lot of this ice that Roberto installed that there's no intention on rezzing. Just having something that's unres on purpose to be able to throw John into a different server, and the Ankuza coming off the top. John might just think that they can hold off R&D. Maybe Roberto can get to 6 points, but maybe that is as far as John will let him go. Beth, getting that free Ankuza card draw. Still 4 clicks left to decide whether they can charge this remote. And even while John looks like they only have 7 credits, if they get an Oiler on top of the Flameout, that goes pretty far with Kit's ability, with Palangi, with maybe another Palangi from hand, and 9 credits on the Flameout. They have a big chance of running with the remote, but again, border control, kind of an issue right now when it comes with Kit's ability, let alone Palangi. A lot of cards that said you can only use once a turn. Border control makes them a bit sad. Pawning the Artist Colony for 3. John's gonna take a little think here, figure it out. It's always good to see how many NGO fronts are in the bin. We're only on 1. And this is an unknown card on top of that came from R&D. Going for a single on HQ again, if this is rezzed and John breaks all of it, they'll access 2 cards, but I really don't see Roberto spending any money rezzing this. It does a lot of damage actually. It is kind of cool if it fires. There's no way it's gonna fire though. 2 card res isn't bad, but it does make the gauntlet a bit worse. Gonna get a single access off of HQ. That's a Cortex lock. Again, it's pretty expensive. Going back for another single, they're just digging for something. And this is kind of the hard thing with a gauntlet. Like in some ways it incentivizes you not to res, but does that mean they do have an agenda or they don't have an agenda? I'd assume it means they don't. Just going in 3rd click for a single, hitting a Kakugo, hitting the Cortex lock, hitting the Cortex lock again. And some of this, I think they didn't see the Kakugo on top of the deck. It snuck by after the Rashida. And so I think they know now 3 cards in hand. I think they know the preempt of the Cortex and the Kakugo. But which Kakugo do they know? Am I right? Now running R&D for that single. Again, they haven't used Kit's ability yet. That's on encounter, not on approach. So this is technically a code gate. Break for 2, take a net damage. Loss of Pelongi, that's probably okay, considering you can simul-chip it in. The slot machine's going to hit event resource. So now there's a bit more of an incentive to break. I think it's still prohibitively expensive. So you might just let that fire as a 6 credit swing. If I'm not mistaken, if you just want to break with this Oiler, it's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's 5. Oh, yeah. Not amazing either for how much money John is sitting on right now. So gonna resolve the 6 credit swing and gonna go for a single access here. Again, oh, Philotic off the top on game point. John could maybe just steal this off of the top of R&D with singles. Divert power. Whoa, interesting card. Lets you play really interestingly with NGO fronts and Rashidas. It lets you de-res some of your ice. One of the strongest things you can do in Ag Infusion, wildly, especially in the late game, where you can set up your bottom ice, right? Because the thing with Ag Infusion is it has to be an ice that they're encountering. So it's technically in Roberto's best interest to make sure that DNA tracker is unresed, and then they have to go through a whole bunch of shit before they hit it, before they get booped, just so if they go again, it's more expensive. Divert power, very interesting. Wondering if they're playing any other support. This is really good with 0 cost assets and upgrades. And hey, there's still Caldera in this deck. I just don't think that the economy right now can support this. Also, Aesop's not, actually pawning the Harbinger that turn. Self-modifying code coming down, and we still have the 2 stim hacks worth of pressure in hand. The second stim hack is interesting because it'll put you on 3 hand size. So if you are interested in stealing an Obokata that turn, it makes a bit of your turn awkward, or at least not awkward. You just have to draw up. SMC being installed onto the flameout, you can use those 2 credits to fire the self-modifying code, but you can't use the 9 credits to install the paid install cost, from my understanding. So that still is a fair bit of value. Does this take out MEU too? No, it doesn't actually. You still have to pay for the MEU for the SMC that's hosted. Running HQ, again, a single. I don't reckon we're going to see a res here from Roberto. Single. It's going to hit the Kakugo. Again, only 3 cards known. And that might make John think that this is a Cortex lock up here, but I don't know, rezzing a Cortex lock, rezzing a Kakugo into an Ankusa seems really rough. And there's a Caldera coming down. Again, this costs 3 credits to prevent a damage. It could be net or brain, but that's a lot of money asking right now for a deck that's kind of struggling with their economy. I don't know if that's worth playing. And hey, Roberto is also gonna swing over to game point. As a runner, you're sometimes pretty happy when you see that the Corp has to score 2 Obokatas. I guess you don't want to score that often a lot, but at least it's not like a very tempo heavy agenda like the Bolognas, or I guess SSL doesn't matter who steals it. Also scarcity in hand. Beth getting a free card draw, Artist Colony getting pawned for 3. John starting to turn off 5 credits with access to 2 stim hacks and flame out. Oh, I thought this, it's only trashes if you used the credits. Oh, neat. Okay, so you can just leave it there. That's cool. Deuces Wild getting played. You gotta make some choices here. We're gonna start with draw 2. The Harbinger represents over 2 turns, 6 credits. That's pretty good value. John gonna slap that onto the table, and John opting for 3 credits with the rest of the Sleeveless Dan. Simulchip, no, instead casts coming down. Again, that's going to be 5 credits in a couple turns, 6 credits with a pawn shop as well. And I think with Roberto on game point, that's sort of like slow economy that pays off in 2 or 3 turns, just might not do it. Where you now have to charge the remote, steal an Obokata that Roberto top deck, deal with Ag Infusion, deal with border control. I feel like Roberto can pretty confidently just jam that into the remote. He has to deal with double stim hack and the money off of flameout. And this is really scary because if John does steal this Obokata, it's a good game. Now, unfortunately though, if the stim hack does run this and you steal the agenda, you will win before the final brain damage from the stim hack actually kills you. And I think Roberto pausing here it's kind of, I wouldn't say blood in the water exactly, but it does show to John that there's an interesting decision here. Does he jam an agenda or not? There's also still probably 2 NGO fronts in the deck, and I don't think any acid expose. It's an interesting problem here. But let's just think of the math, right? Like, you're going to start with 5 more credits. Oh, Roberto not opting to jam, but the Marcus Petty is a good reason not to. With another potential end the run, let alone a way to make the runner spend credits. Now the Obokata, though, in HQ is a bit scarier. Just going to opt for click for a credit there. Having a 1 in 5 if John wants to keep up with that sort of HQ pressure they've been showing off. This, luckily, the Philotic is out, so this largely looks, if you'd ask me, like a Rashida. But I haven't seen Marcus Batty in a while. It's a really strong card. Daily casts, firing off, fan side being drawn by Beth. You can always install that to pawn it. Up on 8 credits, I feel like as long as you can camp the remote, which is pretty difficult, you might have a chance. But winning off of singles, you still have a chance of doing it, of course, but it's a bit hard. And Kuza also was thrown out, or I think it was thrown out. Or was that the net damage last turn? Oh, discarded. So at least with Simul Chip, you install that from 4 from your heap. Sometimes it is better to save on install costs and just use your Simul Chip. Charging R&D, click 1, 8 credits plus the 9 off of the Flame Hat. Resting the Kakugo here, valuing the damage. This is actually interesting too, because now this is the code gate. The second one isn't a code gate, so Plongi is going to have to start being used. Could actually just end the run here and be happy that Roberto spent 4 and went down to 7. Also now with the third Obokata in play, John doesn't have to respect anything. Obviously he doesn't know that, but now accessing with less than 4 cards is technically a winning play. We also haven't seen any spiky damage, things like Breach Dome or Snare. Those are always pretty fun and exciting, just to shuffle a couple of those into R&D. Ending the run, drawing up. There's the Ika, that's a killer. Deals with Sentry. So far we've only seen 1 or 2, and we're just going to go straight in for the Stim Hack. This is going to hit their hand size, making it a bit harder to steal Obokata next turn, but there's a chance that just Beth alone will draw him to the 5. Simul Chip, using it to installing an Oiler. Was something trashed this turn? Oh yeah, it was the Harbinger. So this comes in for free. It is 4 strength. Flameout hosting it as well, so it's not going to last probably longer than 1 turn, but my god is this free credits on top of free credits. You can also use these Stim Hack credits in theory to fire Caldera to prevent the net damage. You can't prevent the brain damage. Stim Hack is unpreventable. The brain damage at least. So using another Simul Chip, probably to play the Ankuza, just going to use these 9 credits to rip apart R&D and really fork Roberto between jamming in the remote and having any ice here. And again, Ankuza is so good against Kakugo. I'm not sure that I would res that a lot of time. They break the still using borrowed money, the Stim Hack money. And I don't actually know if they're going to need the Oiler in here. This might be overkill. Yeah, I don't know if they needed to Simul Chip for the Oiler. That might have been a mistake, unless they also now want to run something else. And there you go, Kakugo bounce, Kakugo bounce. At least this unresed ice is fodder for the Ag Infusion ability. But again, with RDI and not things like Maker's Eye or Hushik, the Ag Infusion ability is a bit worse. Here we also go through, we're going to hit the slot machine, still 2 borrowed credits. I guess you don't have to use this Oiler, so that's fine. Hardware event, so still, that represents a 6 credit swing. That's a good reason to use an Oiler. If you use this one though, you're going to get it trashed at the end of the turn. Maybe you just use this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, maybe you break it just for 3 with this one so you don't actually have to lose this one. Because that's 2 Simul Chips down. I think that's all the Simul Chips. Correction, is 1 in hand. That's an interesting decision. Taking 1 from Flameout, actually using this Oiler, so it's going to get trashed. Hopefully that last Simul Chip will dig it out, but there is a small chance, 1 in 5, 20% chance, maybe that's considered small, to lose it to the Stim Hack, which I think would be represent a really big problem for this deck. I really loves this recursion. Single axis, not hitting it. trashing the third and final Oiler with the stim hack, keeping the simul chip, which is great. But now the top card of R&D isn't the winning agenda. And let's just talk about agenda points. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 agenda points. So there's only like probably 2 3-pointers left in the deck. I don't know if this deck is on Nisei's. Going for a single axis here, interestingly enough, the Obakata is a bit safer than the start of turn with 2 cards bounced into HQ. Maybe you want to order that differently so that this doesn't happen. But I think they just want to use as much Oiler value as they can. Oiler Palangi, so if they're not worried about the res. No further action from Roberto. Looks like Roberto's opting not to res. There is a 1 in 7 of a win right here from John. Kakugo. Of course it's Kakugo. Oh man, that probably feels terrible. Okay. John going to have to discard down to 3 cards. The fan site is honestly not that good. You can always just pawn it. The Eco technically fills that same category, but is technically a breaker. Throwing out the Eco, I guess you do have access with the third simul chip. Drawing into a hedge fund. Kind of what Roberto wanted. Roberto still with 10 credits. Oh, that wasn't the Oiler that was trashed. That was actually the... Oh, it was. Yeah, I know the Oiler was trashed. The one that was flamed out for 1 credit. Hedge fund. Kakugo back on R&D. That's just probably for Ag Infusion. I don't know whether Roberto wants to res that so it gets bounced for 3. And playing a preemptive, that's pretty good. Just gets more cards into R&D, lowers technically that agenda density, I suppose. And Roberto, with only 10 credits, still might be a bit difficult to jam in the remote. But I think Roberto's just waiting for John to spend a bit more money than they're comfortable with, so that Roberto kind of probably feels a bit more comfortable about a scoring window. But I feel with Ag Infusion, with Marcus Batty, with border control, this remote seems pretty good. You're going to need 5 credits to score the Obakata, which means they can't res either of these. I think if they could res a Fairchild, they'd feel a bit better. Aesop's pawning the last part of the Harbinger, and there's the R&D interface that I think John has wanted for the whole game. Seeing 2 cards means you don't have to run every turn unless Roberto draws, and that saves you a lot of money in the long run. There you go, R&D interface coming down. I wonder if we see a run here. Again, this Kakugo is a pretty terrible res if for 3 credits it's going to be bounced into Roberto's hand after he pays 4 + 1 for the install. There's a chance if John lands last click that Roberto's just going to Ag Infusion him. I wonder if the Ag Infusion him. I don't know about this res. Might just want to boop. Maybe you boop. John also, so I don't think Roberto knows the deck list as well as we might, considering we played the deck on channel before, but I don't think there's no real lineup here for a Hushuk, so I don't know if you need to keep a card. There's no clear Hushuk. I think you could probably do a pretty reasonable Hushuk on 2. Not even. That's actually pretty funny. Ah, there you go. There's the Ag Infusion boop. You don't need to res the core deck, the Kakugo. It's better as a unres dice. And going to Access Archives. In theory, John could jack out here, right? If they're scared of Breach Dome. John does jack out. And there we draw Cyberdex Fire Suite, which is surprisingly potent if they're relying on Palangi. It's going to be very difficult for that to happen. You're basically going to need to use your ability and then hit the Anansi. There's another Kakugo. It's just wasting more time. But Roberto doesn't have more money than when he started the turn, which I think is all he needs to win the game. Aesop's Pancha probably going to opt to sell either the Casts or the Caldera. Again, you could probably just sell the Gauntlet. I don't think it's going to get you any value. But also, Roberto went down to 1 and 4 on HQ. I don't know if you need to jam the CVS. It's going to maybe tempt him to run. Maybe that's exactly what you want, as much as you might lose the Marcus Batty. I just don't think if you advance it, like there's no unadvanceable cards, unless this is perfectly like a 4-2 into a La Costa. Or La Costa, I've been told it's pronounced. Roberto offering no action here. This is 2 cards off the top of R&D. Again, I think there's like what? 2 more agendas? No, that seems too few. Yeah, 2 more agendas in 23. Is that correct? Wait, 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20. Yeah, there might just be 2 more agendas in 23. Slot Machine, gonna pull that handle. Oh, they have no deck. Wow, okay. So Slot Machine's just going to be lose 3. Trashing a Marcus Batty. Going to give John some idea what's in this remote server. Going to go run back, see another card. Roberto not opting for the boop. Slot Machine, fire all. That's just lose 3 credits. Cheaper than breaking it. You don't mind too much. With 4 cards left, actually, the Obakata is going to get safer and safer. You just want to do 1 damage here, like 1 Breach Dome. A Snare, obviously. Well, they would pair a bit for the Snare. The Breach Dome is a bit better because it does meat damage, which they can't prevent with Caldera. I guess they couldn't afford to prevent all of of a snare. And they also only have 3 hand size. So once this turn is over, John has no chance of stealing the Obokata. So here we have it, 1 in 4. John has a chance here. And if the Cortex Lock is rezzed, it's a 50% chance. So this is the literal last turn John can steal the Obokata. The straight last turn. Roberto looks like he's thinking, which kind of senses something hitting the Kakugo. Surprise! You put 2 in there. John going, this is the last click, last possibility to be able to steal. I think you just boop it. You just Ag Infusion boop this. There's no way you don't, right? Because after that, they're going to have to discard down to 3 hand size because of the 2 stim hacks, and they can no longer steal Obokata. Not booping. Oh no, 1 in 4. Divert power. Okay, Roberto's safe. He knows he's not going to drop deck agenda. Just jam down the remote, you win the game. There's no stare. I guess you could maybe expect an imp in hand, or obviously not a film critic, so the chance of imp with the influence spread is probably countably impossible. There's only 1 influence unaccounted for. You can just jam that Obokata. They can't steal it. I guess you could actually just take the time protecting R&D. So now you're just hoping that the top 2 cards of R&D are specifically not the agenda, because 1 was a Marcus Batty, 1 was trashed. Oh, actually, I think they ran back, so only the second card has to be R&D. I might be mistaken about that, but I know they trashed a Batty, probably access the Thimble Rig, and then access the one behind it. Because I think they ran twice. Install advance. Oh man, only 3 cards in hand. You also, there's a chance, like John doesn't know that this is the Obokata in the remote. That would be the worst case scenario. There's still a chance of winning off R&D. And I don't know it'd be crazy brave if Roberto booped John, redirected John into archives, and there was actually an agenda in there, assuming John would jack out. But in theory, John could always check archives to get 4 pseudo accesses. Yeah, I guess John only 3 accesses. Is pretty sure that one of them is Kakugo. Probably saw one of them being an Ag Infusion Ice earlier. So okay, maybe archives is only like 1 real access, maybe 2. Divert power works in Marcus Batty. That's cool. That's the kind of 0 cost upgrade you want. That's pretty neat. Lets you pre-res your Thimble Rigs to have some fun with them. That's sometimes a struggle. Oh no, but you just pre-res your shitty Ag Infusion Ice. Oh, that's kind of cute. 1 influence, whatever. Alright, Beth, getting trash for 3 credits. I think you can get a credit from Beth before that, before you trash her. You definitely can. So here we go for 2 accesses here. Now, unless they're a bunch of trashables, I think you do want to pop the Kakugo and just bounce them, just to waste a click. Unless they're 2 trashables, you can run back, or even 1 trashable. Because otherwise you're just going to see 2 cards and that's it. So you might as well waste a click, I guess. 2 cards, this could be a game. There's still SSLs in there. Roberto wants to act before the run's successful. Nothing you can really do. And there you go, that's it. I don't think John has any chance of winning unless they have a way to shuffle R&D. They might still charge the remote. Looks like that's where the agenda is. This could still be an NGO front. We've only seen 1 so far. Well known, CVS, Marcus Batty. Here we go. Roberto doesn't have to do anything. Can just sit back and hit no further action. Again, Obokata Protocol, you need 4 net damage to steal it. John jacking out. I think they realized if there was no res. GG. I think that's it. If it's not on top of R&D, you can always still check archives. Small chances. It looks like we got GG's in chat. I think we know how this is going to go. Click for 3. Roberto sneaking it out. That Obokata, the 1 in 4 in HQ. Chihashi off the top. That's a strong guy. So you want to divert power, right? And there you go. 3 of a kind. 3 Obokatas. A lot of net damage that John didn't have to take and still ran out of cards. When your deck requires you to like install stuff for Aesops and keep cycling through your deck, I think you do have problems with net damage sort of thing. Obviously you do have the Caldera, but it is econ expensive and the economy in this deck can be pretty difficult. But hey, good games to both. That was pretty exciting to watch. And we're going to be on to game number 2 or round number 2 in just a bit. Thanks for watching. Ciao.